Now, on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
It is 5:07, and I don't know about you, but I still have all my fingers from July 4th, so that's always a good sign. No appendages blown off. Happy Independence Day as we continue to celebrate the big, beautiful bill, and Democrats really not quite understanding where this country is headed right now. As the lies continue from them, we're going to give you the details of all that and the tragedy in Texas and what appears to be potentially negotiations over a lasting ceasefire in Israel, maybe, that and a shakeup at the Washington Nationals. A lot has happened since last we spoke. Is Hakeem Jeffries done talking? Oh, he is. Yeah, that's great. Coming up at 6:35, Andy Pollan of 630 ESPN will join us to tell us about the shakeup over at the Washington Nats. 7:05, Joe DeGeneva. 7:35, Grover Norquist on the tax ramifications of that big, beautiful bill. 8:05, Benem Ben Taleblu with Foundation for Defense of Democracies on Netanyahu's visit here to the White House. And then at 8:35, Ruby Chen, he is the father of an American hostage in that conflict. All that coming up, and even better, bestie best, riding shotgun all morning long, the one, the only, Mama Warrior, Bethany Mandel. Look at you, Bethany. Welcome back to the studio.
I had a stress dream that I accidentally brought my baby to the show.
You had a stress dream you brought your baby? Yeah, I had a stress dream you brought your baby, too. We do not do diapering service here. Do you have one still in diapers? No. Your youngest has got to be potty trained. 2.5. 2.5. Oh, my gosh. Insanity. Bethany Mandel. Fresh off a victory, by the way, to remind everybody, not only are you a brilliant columnist, political analyst, and author and all-around activist and political commentator, but you are also the victor in that civil lawsuit against the Montgomery County School Board over there silencing you, keeping you from speaking your opinion at school board meetings. You won that undisclosed settlement, so you can't.
I think it was disclosed in Bethesda Magazine.
Oh, did they disclose it?
I think they did, but I'm not.
I mean, are you buying lunch?
I mean, I'm paying my taxes this year thanks to Montgomery County Public Schools.
Wait, are you telling me up until now you haven't been paying your taxes?
No, it's so much money.
That's great. Congratulations.
Thanks.
Well, it was a bad week for Montgomery County because not only did you win that settlement, you and our buddy Matt Foldy, by the way.
I have to go split seas with him.
Co-plaintiffs on that. Watch him. He counts every penny. I've settled a check with him before.
It's two Jews winning a settlement.
But then Montgomery County lost bigly with the Supreme Court as well, and that's a pretty wonderful thing, too. And you were sort of at the tip of the spear on that whole argument. Again, a kind of a simple notion. Parents should have the right to opt their children out of objectionable material that goes against their religious and moral beliefs.
And MCPS spent millions of dollars to try to force them to do it anyway. And then they lost.
To try to say, no, you parents have no right. I was struck by members of the Montgomery County School Board and County Council who were still doubling, tripling, quadrupling down, that this was all a right-wing MAGA fascist, you and your Handmaid's Tale folk there, Bethany Mandel, winning that thing there. So this isn't ending. It never ends.
No. So they sent an email to all the staff. They said this will not deter us from creating an inclusive and welcoming environment. Not welcoming or inclusive to religious families, but, exactly. Whatever.
Is the coalition that you helped sort of cobble together there, we're talking about people of faith, whether Orthodox Jewish, Muslim, Orthodox Christian, specifically, though, the Orthodox Christians were Ethiopian Orthodox. So these are also, first, second generation immigrants from Ethiopia. And then, of course, just good old vanilla evangelical conservative Christians. Does this coalition have legs of sorts? Can you turn this into some sort of electoral power?
So I think that we tried on the school board. I mean, I ran for school board based on this. I don't know how much legs it has here in Montgomery County, but it was interesting. I mean, the tip of the spear of like the people who were really organizing were really the Muslims. Father Wa'el al-Kashiri, I think his name is pronounced, was like the driving force for the Muslim families. He was incredible. Ismail Royer was another one. And I've seen a window into what they're doing nationwide, like all of these religious Muslims. And I think that it was in part the reason why Trump won in Michigan because they had decided they didn't like whoever was in the White House on Gaza, no matter what. So like Gaza was moot as far as they were concerned. So they were choosing between a party who would force their children to violate their religious beliefs and a party that wouldn't. And so they decided the wouldn't was more appealing to them. And it's a really interesting. So it was funny. Like I had a huge two-page column that I was filing to the New York Post on October 8th about this like unlikely coalition of religious Muslim voters that kind of got scuttled after October 7th. But they are veering to the right because they see the Republican Party as the people that actually respect their religious beliefs. And it's a little hard for them to see the Republican Party as welcoming because, it's not perfect for them. But there is definitely something there.
Well, it's funny in the long run, and clearly, my guess is that the Muslim Americans in Montgomery County that you're referring to here, that we may find common ground on these issues. I would, and you and I would both differ with them strongly on international and foreign policy issues, and issues having to do with our allies in the Middle East. But ultimately, oftentimes you find coalitions here in America when your children, the way you raise your kids, is being threatened. As I often say, what happens in your house is more important than what happens in the White House. These grand, large national and international issues are important to us, but ultimately, if you start messing with my kids, that's going to be where my focus is. Yep.
And I think that's where a lot of these parents are falling. They don't love everything about the Republicans, but at the end of the day, this is an ideology that is in total clash with their religious beliefs, and so they're going with the party that understands that.
Fascinating. Well, it was a great victory and a great way to finish up the Supreme Court session here, and it was great to see it happen, from our backyard. It's funny. I have so many friends in California. I used to do radio in California, and we have mutual friends in California who were fighting this fight in Sacramento statewide 2-3 years ago, but it really didn't reach the level of because I feel like people write off California saying, yeah, that's just California. Right. But when it happened right here in the back door. And I think, Montgomery County does this stuff because they want to push Washington, D.C. They want to push the agenda. And sometimes that works. This time it didn't. It backfired on them.
Yeah, I mean, thank God that the Supreme Court took the case at the end of the day. That's what really did it. Because they won at every local court level, or Montgomery County won at every single local court level, and it was unfortunate to see Alana Kagan go the way that she did, because she even said in oral arguments, "Well, there's parents who aren't religious who might object to this content." Yeah, Alana Kagan. Yeah, that's true. I don't want my kindergartner reading Pride Copy. I don't care what it is. Yeah. And I think that the most powerful thing about the Alito. His position paper at the end of it was that he just let the books speak for themselves. He put pictures of the books at the end of the opinion. He just said, "Here's the books themselves. Judge for yourself. They speak for themselves."
It's almost like you know it when you see it. I believe another Supreme Court justice said years ago. All right, that's great and fabulous to have you all morning long. We've got a lot to talk about beyond that. In fact, let's recap what happened when last we spoke before Andrew Langer sat in for us on July 4th morning. Hakeem Jeffries was still talking. We had yet to have the big, beautiful bill vote. We got it. Mike Johnson wins again. Trump signs the bill at the White House right before the fireworks. We had quite a weekend, and we're going to recap all of it for you, including a brand new dust-up between Trump and Musk. Is this one going to have long-lasting effects on American politics in the short or long term? We'll get into all of that coming up.
WMAL, making sense of the news. Live from the Home Paramount Pest Control Studios. Home Paramount, the leader in pest control since 1939.
Yeah, and that fireworks show on the mall was pretty phenomenal. What about you, Bethany, with your kids? You live in Montgomery County, too, so there's serious rules and regulations with regard to backyard fireworks. And if I remember, I've met your oldest son now. He seems like he doesn't need a patriotic excuse to try to set something on fire.
None of my children do. No, unfortunately, 4th of July fell really inconveniently for us this year because it was Friday night, and so we didn't get to see fireworks this year for the first time in my kids' lives. It was really a bummer. So I was kind of hoping they would get rained out, so they would do them on Saturday or Sunday night instead, but no such luck.
Well, our 4th of July weekend found us in the heartland in Oklahoma. That's where Meredith's family is from, of course, and we try to visit them when we can. And they took us out they said, hey, you want a redneck 4th of July? And Meredith and I are like, yeah, we want a redneck 4th of July. So we went out to a town called Mustang, Oklahoma. In the city fathers in Mustang, apparently there had been complaints about people doing backyard fireworks forever. Everyone's like, because they start, mid-June and they go all the way through the end of July, right? And people are like, I'm trying to sleep. Stop with the backyard fireworks. So this was brilliant. The city fathers at Mustang, Oklahoma came up with an idea saying, all right, guys, here's what we're going to do. You get 3 days. You get July 3rd, you get July 4th, you get July 5th. And you can shoot off all your background. You got to stop at 11 p.m. And you come downtown, and right near, I kid you not, right near the First Baptist Church at the city square, and you come down and you shoot them off all you want, and it's going to be regular. We'll have the fire department on hand if anything goes wrong. You don't do it in your backyard. You don't do it out in your farmland or on your field. You come downtown, you shoot them off here, and you get 3 days till 11 p.m. every night, and that's it. But if you shoot off fireworks any other day, we're going to bust your butt, and we're going to come get you. And so it's become this thing. I think it's been like 5 years now. So my in-laws drove us to Mustang. We get there, Bethany, I kid you not, it was an hour before sundown, and it was already a war zone. And it's everyone comes from miles around, and they just shoot off their fireworks randomly without any rhyme or reason, it's like a finale of a fireworks show for 4 hours straight. It was insanity.
I love it. We were supposed to go to Mount Vernon because they had daytime fireworks. And then we kind of wussed out a little bit because it was hot and we were wimps. And so we didn't go.
We've done Mount Vernon many years in a row now. We did not go this year, but oftentimes we go. They do it like the weekend before 4th of July, and it's fantastic.
Yeah, so we actually joined Mount Vernon because of you, because you said you were members. And I was like,
isn't it the
delightful. Best? It's the best. We love it.
Apparently Schwarzenegger was there for July 4th.
No, I missed it. So I'm kind of bummed that we didn't do that. But we did watch Independence Day with my children. That I feel like that was on brand. And I watched it with my older 5 children, I think.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And it was traumatic, and I had a baby climb in my bed in the middle of the night.
Yeah, that's a scary movie for some little kids.
Yeah.
I love that movie, though. And you can't beat the speech at the end before they go and kill the aliens. It's the best.
It's so good.
See, this is the difference between your family and my family. My family, our annual tradition is to watch the musical 1776. You can't get the Broadway show tunes out of my blood, which is also a great July 4th tradition.
Maybe we should have done that.
We have sound. If you follow me on social media, you saw some pictures and video of the Mustang, Oklahoma fireworks. But here's a little sound. Trigger warning. If some of you have PTSD from serving overseas, I just want you to know ahead of time. This is the fireworks sound. Cut 1. It was just constant. That's only 15. That's what it was like. My in-laws, of course, have lots of ear protection because Oklahoma and they own firearms. I went without. I said, yeah, I'm fine. I don't need it. My ears are still ringing. From Friday night.
So speaking of the trigger warning,
yes.
So I have a lot of friends who are Israeli who are working in Jewish summer camps this year. And they like gave a whole speech beforehand because they were saying, and it's just not something that I ever really thought of before I saw those speeches, and I was like, of course it's triggering.
Oh, for sure. In fact, there were a couple of people who were vets. I could see that they were parked in cars near us, and I could see that they had their head on a swivel. Yeah. And it occurred to me while I was there, it was like, if God forbid there was like someone decided to do a mass shooting or something, nobody would know. It's like because usually the sound of gunfire is a warning that you should, but someone could open fire and nobody would know with all that sound going on. And I had a near miss real quickly. I realized at one point it occurred to me that we're sort of my family's safety was relying on the common sense of everyone around us in that parking lot. And honestly, I mean, God bless the people of Mustang, Oklahoma, but there wasn't a whole lot of common sense going on at this point. And 3 cars over, some dad decided to give their 3-year-old a Roman candle.
Oh God.
And the kid, and it's sort of firing, and it's it's one of those things that like shoots out sparkle things like every 4 seconds. The thing shoots out, and you're supposed to hold it up with your arm at like a 45-degree angle, or a 90-degree angle. Anyway, of course the kid drops it, and it shoots across the pavement of the parking lot and hits the side of my foot. Thank God I was wearing closed-toed shoes because I was going to wear flip-flops. And I have a scorch mark. I'll show you after the break here. I'll show you. I have a scorch mark on the side of my shoe, the size of a quarter, from the thing hitting me.
When my parents got divorced, my dad was terribly irresponsible, and my mom put in the divorce agreement that he was never allowed to have visitation with me on July 4th weekend for this reason. She was like, I don't trust him. I don't think it's a good idea. And the judge, when she was going through the terms, she was like, yeah, that's probably for the best.
That's rather brilliant and kind of controlling, which, let's face it, apple doesn't fall far from the tree, Bethany Mandel. Oh, it's 5:24. Coming up, we have an official statement now on the Jeffrey Epstein case, and the case is closed, and much of the suspicions most of us had about Jeffrey Epstein and what was being kept from the American people, well, we're told that we had no reason to believe those things. We'll give you the details next.
WMAL-FM, Woodbridge, Washington, a Cumulus media station. Making sense of the news. News Talk 105.9. Now on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
It's 5:37 now. Good morning and a good Monday to you. It's O'Connor and Company on the 7th day of July, 7/7. And if you're into this sort of thing, it's 77 degrees right now as well. It's 77 degrees on 7/7. And Bethany Mandel, born in 1977.
No,
that's not true.
Closer to 87.
Would have been awesome, though, huh? But you're not quite
No.
there. Good morning. Thanks for joining us. Coming up later today at 6:35, Andy Pollin from ESPN 630 will join us, give us all the details on the shakeup in the front office there at the Washington National. 7:05, Joe DeGeneva. 7:35, Grover Norquist on all your tax breaks coming your way, thanks to the big, beautiful bill. 8:05, Benim Ben Taleblu from Foundation for Defense of Democracies. And at 8:35, Ruby Khen, father of an American hostage from the October 7th massacre. We get into all those details. It's Larry O'Connor with Bethany Mandel. Good morning, Bethany Mandel. Good to have you here.
So excited to be here and start my day with a hot beverage and no one climbing on me.
I thought you were going to say with a hot conservative radio host.
Yeah, that was exactly where I was going there, and then I veered.
Oh, come on. Your husband's sleeping. My wife is sleeping. This is our moment, Bethany. Come on.
I have to shout out my kids, by the way, at like 8:25. I have to shout out my kids because
when they
they're going
wake
to be
up.
listening.
Okay. All right. We'll make sure we do that. So you're also here on a pretty busy news day. We've got a lot to catch up on over the weekend, but one story broke late last evening. An odd time for a story like this to break, actually, and an odd platform. Generally speaking, this Trump administration and the Justice Department don't serve leaks to publications like Axios. So that sort of raised my eyebrows. But Axios got the exclusive. They got a leak from someone at DOJ or FBI. And here's the exclusive. I'll just read it for you, and I'll let you all come up with your own conclusions, I suppose. Exclusive. President Trump's Justice Department. By the way, do you love that it's President Trump's Justice Department on this story?
They're going to blame him for it.
Yeah, everything is an editorial choice, ladies and gentlemen. Mm-hmm. President Trump's Justice Department and FBI have concluded they have no evidence that Jeffrey Epstein blackmailed powerful figures, kept a client list, or was murdered, according to a memo detailing the findings obtained by Axios. So the bottom line is, Epstein case is closed. No client list. He committed suicide, and there's nothing more to see here. Everybody, trust us. Move along. And Bethany, I don't know what to say.
I don't believe it.
I don't think anybody does.
I don't believe it.
I don't think Kash Patel and Dan Bongino believe this. I mean, no offense, they're good men, but
there's
no way.
I have a lot of questions. I think if they had created a scenario in which I trusted them less, I don't know what it would have been.
Yeah.
Because this is just, throw me a bone here.
Yeah.
Pretend that some of it is real, at least, for the sake of argument.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I have so many questions. And I had hoped when President Trump became President Trump that we might get some answers on this front.
Yeah.
And that's not going to happen.
Well, didn't Attorney General Bondi do this whole dog and pony show about having the client list?
It was embarrassing.
These influencers were there at the
Yeah.
White House with binders. Then it turns out, oh, well, this isn't all the information, but I've ordered the FBI in New York to send me all the information. And then boxes of information come, and they say, well, we looked at it all, and there's nothing there.
Yeah, they really did all of those people dirty, by the way.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Having all of those influencers come and, show their binders and do a photo op and everything.
Got. Yeah.
They did them really dirty. That was really unkind.
Yeah.
And I wonder, I wonder what the decision-making process was, because they meant to do them dirty. They meant to make fools of them. So what was the reasoning behind that? I have so many questions, and zero of them have been answered.
I'll be honest with you. The most believable thing of all of this is that Epstein did, in fact, kill himself. You could make that argument to me.
You think that he did kill himself?
I'm saying that's the most believable of all these things. That's the thing that's I could accept that, actually, that he did, in fact, he knew what was coming. He decided to kill himself, and so there you go.
I don't think that.
I don't believe that either. It's just the most believable thing.
Right. If I'm going to throw a bone in their direction of non-conspiratorial thinking, I was telling my kids when we were watching Independence Day yesterday, I said that one of the things I love about this movie is that it completely validated all the conspiracy theorists at every turn.
Right.
And they were like, that's because you also are a conspiracy theorist, Mom. I'm like, that's exactly right. That's exactly right.
And all of our conspiracies from, COVID changes a person. You should have said that to them.
Yep.
Let me tell you about conspiracies, kids. Randy Quaid was right. Yeah. You have so many questions. I have one question. I think if this question can be answered, then maybe the other, cards will fall into place. Ghislaine Maxwell, is that how you pronounce her first name? I always get it wrong. Let's call it Ghislaine.
Sure.
Ghislaine Maxwell was found guilty on 5 of 6 federal charges back in 21. She was found guilty of conspiracy to entice a minor to travel to engage in illegal sex acts, conspiracy to transport a minor to engage in criminal sexual activity, transporting a minor with the intent to engage in criminal sexual activity, sex trafficking of a minor, conspiracy to commit sex trafficking of minors. You're telling me that you convicted this woman of all of those counts, and yet you don't actually have one name of one person that those children were trafficked to or for?
And that's exactly what I found most interesting about this headline, that the first thing is DOJ, FBI conclude that he had no client list. That's the number one bullet in the headline.
Yeah.
Because that's what they want. That's what they want people to think, that there's no client list. Wasn't one of the things that Elon Musk said was that Trump was on the client list?
It is. He then took that back.
He took backsies.
But yeah.
There is no take backsies on that. I'm sorry, Elon.
Well, and of all of the people who have been, sort of implicated through rumor and innuendo of being part of the Epstein scene, Trump is actually the one person who, before he even entered political life, kicked Jeffrey Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago. I mean, they had a very famous public spat.
Yeah.
And he claims it's because he thought he was a degenerate. So, I mean, that said, that doesn't mean that there might be some incriminating information there. We'll never know, and we're left to speculate again. Or you can decide to believe the FBI and the DOJ that there's nothing to see here.
That's never gone wrong for us before.
Yeah, exactly. It's 5:44.
WMAL, more than just politics, because laughter is the best medicine. Download the WMAL app to stream us for free.
Oh. Hold on, we're back. It's 5:47. We're back. We never left. I just thought there was another 60 seconds of vital information for you at that moment. Bethany Mandel with Larry O'Connor here on O'Connor and Company. Let's give you an update on this unbelievable, horrific, terrible tragedy out of Texas. As I'm sure you've all seen, the flash flood of Guadalupe River just swept away hundreds of people. The death toll at this moment, there have been hundreds of people saved, and incredible heroic stories coming out of that region, but there's also incredible tragedy as now the death toll is 82 people with dozens still missing. And, of course, the most heartbreaking of all are the little girls who were attending their summer camp at Camp Mystic that got swept away in the middle of the night. This is the stuff of nightmares, Bethany, especially with my youngest is 18, and I still have nightmares about this sort of thing. I can't imagine how you are looking at this with children your age.
Yeah, I'm packing my kids right now to go to summer camp, actually. They're going in about 2 weeks. And yes, it takes 2 weeks to pack my kids to summer camp. And, seeing the pictures of the bunks and, knowing that their moms and dads packed those purple sheets and all of those things, like the thought and love that goes into sending a child to summer camp and the trust.
Yes.
And one of the most beautiful things to come out of this, like deeply beautiful, not just like a nice thing, obviously, was that the summer camp director died trying to save these girls. He was safe, and he ran in and tried to, they take that duty very seriously.
Yes.
It's a very important job, and they know that it is. And he did everything he could to save those girls.
The stories of heroism and self-sacrifice are yet to be told, I think, in many respects. But you're right, I saw that story. And it's funny, as this story progressed over the weekend, the first story that we heard was of the Eagle Scouts, these Boy Scouts that were there, that did end up, these kids, 10, 11, 12-year-old boys, but they're Boy Scouts, darn it, and they're Eagle Scouts, and they did an incredible job of saving themselves and saving others. And it's just like, wow, this is amazing. And then you started to hear of the tragedies. You started to hear of the people who didn't make it, especially those little girls at Camp Mystic. And you're right. I remember when you send your kid off to summer camp, it's an emotional experience for a parent either way. And this is one of the things you think about, but it's not, the top of the concerns that you might have. And by the way, a lot of these camps are faith-based camps.
Yeah.
My wife, Meredith, actually used to be a camp counselor at a Christian music camp in this region. She was watching this story saying, oh, my God, I know that river. I know this area. She used to volunteer and, not volunteer, she would work there over the summers. There's a CNN anchor who said that she went there, and so they have her anchoring the coverage. And she talked about, how much joy the river brought them as campers. They would play, they would wash things in it. It was a whole fixture of that camp experience. And the videos, the time-lapse videos that we've seen of how fast that water rose, knowing that it was 4 a.m., what do you do there? It's just horrifying. And also, I think there's a lot of stuff to, after the fact and after the cleanup, we need to call into question. Of course, in a few minutes, we didn't want to lead with the Democrats politicizing this and the media and the left, and we will get into that. It's horrific. It's disgusting. One of the accusations was that the National Weather Service was understaffed and that there wasn't any alerts. But I actually got direct messages from people who live in the area all weekend long saying we were getting alerts all the time. So, and we get alerts. We get a heavy rainfall here and our phones blow up.
Yes, we just got it.
Flood. Yeah.
Since we've been on the radio, on the weather report, it's a flash flood watch. That's what we're under right now here. I ignore them.
Exactly.
I don't pay any attention to it.
I think we get so many, in the spirit of trying to keep us aware and notified of things, the FEMA and other national services have sort of apprehended our cell service, and they send us all these alerts on our phones. And you're right, 99% of the time we get the alert, but nothing actually ever comes of it. And maybe that's something that should be reexamined, that we've become numb to these things and we don't pay attention. Because a flash flood is a flash flood.
Yeah.
And
I remember the first time that we got the flash flood warning and my phone buzzed and I looked at it and I put it down. My kids said, "What was that?" And I said, "Oh, it's just a flash flood warning."
Right.
And they were like, "What? Oh, no." I said, "No, it's fine.
It's fine. Yeah.
And the last time, so this was actually interesting. We had a tornado warning here recently, and there was a debate in my WhatsApp group in my community, and I found out it doesn't mean that a tornado has touched down in your area. It means that it could. And I was getting ready for Shabbat, and I sent a message to my friend, and I said, I don't go to my basement for could. And I ignored the warning.
Which is, by the way, the opposite. Anyone who grew up in the Midwest hearing this knows that this is the opposite of the Midwest. You know, again, I keep talking about my lovely wife because we were just in Oklahoma, and that's tornado. She literally grew up in Tornado Alley. And warning means it's touched ground. If there's a tornado warning, that means there is a live tornado that has touched ground.
Yep.
And you're right, it is different, and that it shouldn't be regionally different. And, you know, obviously, if you've got a flash flood warning and you're on Guadalupe River and it has a history of flooding, that should be, you know, obviously taken in a very different way than when you get one in Silver Spring, you know, or in Chevy Chase. That it's a horrible story. Like I said, tragedy and horrific stories coming out of that region, as well as heroic stories, including one young man who had just graduated from the Coast Guard and went out for his very first emergency call and ended up being a bona fide hero. We're going to give you his story coming up in a bit, and also, sadly, the horrific politicization of this as people see a human tragedy and a weather event and decide it's got to be blamed on Trump. We'll give you those details coming up in just a moment. It's 5:53.